Should you save your marriage? That is the $10,000, $100,000, $1 million, or $10 million question, because a divorce can be very expensive. But the question becomes, should you try to save it? If you want to answer the question, stick to the very end of this video to get the answer. So, as you know, my name's Fernando. Some people call me Ferdo, and I am a divorce coach. If you want to work with me, click the link in the description below, schedule a call, 100% free, and I can help you drive you through this divorce process. So, should you save your marriage? Have you ever tried to hold on to something so hard, you try to grasp it, and it just kind of like gets away from you? It flows through your hands. Well, that's true or you're trying to grab sand and it's just kind of going through your hands. That's true also in life. It could be relationships or maybe business ventures, just things that no matter how hard you try, how much energy you try to put into, it just doesn't work. Your marriage can be that. But how do you know whether or not to actually put in the time, energy, and resources into trying to save your marriage? So what I tell guys that I coach all the time, I said, don't focus on trying to save your marriage, which is outside of you. Focus on finding your truth. Because a lot of guys, if you're an entrepreneur or a business owner or a C-level executive, chances are you work a lot. And the story you've been telling yourself is, I need to work a lot to provide for my family. And that is true. However, because you're working so much to provide the very best life for them, it often happens that you lose yourself. You kind of lose yourself and you don't know who you truly are. So when your wife hits you with the I love you, but I'm not in love with you, or I need space, or this is not working out, then your world just kind of falls apart. I like to call this the divorce fog. You're just like kind of the divorce fog. You're like, bro, what happened? So when you're here, you're probably thinking, well, there's a lot of good things from my marriage. Obviously, my kids, our assets, the financial stability. But on the flip side of that, there's also like years and years of things that you really don't like about your wife or soon-to-be ex-wife. But a lot of guys just like, they dive, like, since they're entrepreneurs and they're winners and they want to win, I got to figure this out. I got to piece this together. It's like putting a piece of the puzzle together. Like, I need to understand what happened. I need to understand what went wrong. Let's hire one coach, two coach, three coach, five coaches. Let's go. Let's assemble a team to tackle this issue so that I can succeed, because that's how you've been successful in business. I know, brother, because I've been there, right? But when it comes to personal relationships, I'm not saying obviously hiring a mentor or coach can be helpful for you, or maybe reading certain books, but there's also like a spiritual component to it as well, which is you have to learn how to let go. But you won't know how to let go unless you find your truth. So what I tell my guys, my clients, is don't go trying to save your marriage. Don't go and put your time, energy, and effort and save your marriage. Instead, let's go inside, let's find your truth. Because from that place is where you can truly decide whether or not this is the best option for you. You might not be ready to hear this. You might say, I'm going to watch the next video because this guy's not making any sense. He doesn't understand. She's a good woman. She's the mother of my children. I'm going to lose $1 million. Whatever the case may be, and probably you're not ready to hear this, but if you hear it, you'll come back to this in a few months and you're going to tell me that I was right. And I know, because I've been down that path. So it's not an issue about should I try to save this. Again, is can I find my truth? And from that place and that place only is where you can decide how to move forward. The truth is, when most guys get to that point, when most guys get to that truth, I'm sorry to tell you this, they say, I don't think I even want her now. Because for such a long time, we've been fighting for this ideal image of the family, of the wife, of the Instagram picture, the Christmas card, or you name it, or the family vacations on the weekend, that we've tried so hard that we've forgotten who we are, we've forgotten our truth, we've forgotten the red flags we've seen throughout the marriage. Now, I want to be clear, I'm all for marriage. If you can save your marriage, especially if you have children, I would recommend you do that. And as a matter of fact, that's usually what I help guys with, even though this page is called Divorce to Dominance. And you can ask yourself, like, well, why are you trying to save marriages? Because I made every single fucking mistake in the book, and I have helped some marriages and helped gotten relationships back on track. Because what I teach is not tips, tools, strategies, and tactics of like, do these 3 things to get your ex back, or do 3 things to get your wife back and to sleep with you again. That's all surface level, bro. That's like taking a crack hit. It's gonna have a high and then it's gonna come down. And again, I know because I've been there. The only way you can truly save a marriage that might be falling apart for the past few years is when you do the true inner healing work. And when you connect to your truth and connect to what's true, it is only from that place that you'll be able to find the clarity to decide how it is that you want to move forward. But a lot of people don't want to get there. Like, a lot of people don't want to do that type of work because it's just easy to buy her a dress or buy her a necklace or take her on a vacation or whatever the case may be, or just say like, okay, honey, you're bitching about this, here's a check, whatever, we'll figure it out, versus actually doing the inner work, which is tough. And if you got to this point, chances are there's a lot of toxic buildup between you two. You might not think there is, but if your wife asks for space, or is cheating on you, or is pulling away, or hits you with the I love you, not in love with you, she's already built an image of you in her head that it's not very favorable, because she fell in love with you at the beginning for bits and pieces and glimpses of who she believed you could be. But throughout time, you've let her down. You maybe worked too much. You've dropped the ball. You haven't kept your word. Or more than anything, if you're a businessman or an entrepreneur, you haven't been present. You've been there maybe physically, but you haven't been present, which means you haven't been able to connect with her emotionally. And this leads to an emotional disconnect with it's like one of the most important things with women. They need to feel emotionally connected. So there's all this toxic buildup from all these years, and undoing that takes a lot of time, energy, and effort and resources. And it can be done, but obviously you have to have 2 willing parties willing to participate and be willing to do it. But the truth is, before you're actually ready to jump off a ledge and say, I'm willing to save this marriage, I'll do whatever it takes, what's more important is for you to find your truth. What is true to you? Not what society tells you, but what is true to you. Maybe you didn't have enough time to date your wife. Maybe when you guys got together, maybe, she changed. You changed. Things happened. You had some issues in the family. You name it. And all these things just add up. And if they're never addressed because you're always working, and they're never addressed because you're not present, and they're never addressed because your mind is somewhere else, it's like a snowball effect. It comes to a point where it just pops. It just pops. It can't anymore. The system can't hold it anymore. So if you're watching this video, chances are you've gotten to that point. And either you're in denial and saying, I don't understand. How could you do this? We just came back from vacation. And if you keep on watching my content and you stick around, you'll slowly start to see that this has been a long time coming. You just missed all the signals. You've been out to lunch. But okay, so now you know that. Now, okay, I dropped the ball. I missed all these signals. But then the question becomes, I can see how from my end I dropped the ball. But then the question becomes, well, should I try to save a sinking ship? And you're the only person that can answer that. But you can't answer that from this state of mind that you're currently in. You really need to go deep down inside, do the inner work, find your truth, your truth, not her truth, not what she's telling you, the reasons why she's telling you she's leaving, which maybe half of them might not be very truthful. She might be lying to you, but not in a bad way. She's just trying to make excuses to push you away because she's just so fed up. Or maybe she's met someone else, but if she's met someone else, chances are she's fed up. So she's just kind of pushing you away and finding excuses, and you don't know which is true or not. So you can't allow yourself to be led by her. You have to be led by your truth. And again, if you're in this point, chances are you probably weren't leading, and you're saying, well, what happened? I mean, I'm a leader in my business, but at home, you probably haven't been leading, because if you were leading and you were present and you were tuned in, you would have seen all the red flags, and you wouldn't have allowed it to get to this point. That is the truth, my brother. You're probably saying, how could she want to leave if, I check off all the boxes, I make money, we go on vacations, we do this, we do that, I go to soccer practice. But women are a special kind, and they need more than just that, believe it or not. And women who are actually seeking for love and connection. I just want to be clear. Just because she's asking for space for leaving or cheating or or whatever the case may be, doesn't mean it's 100% on you, but it is on you for you to determine whether or not you want to put the time, energy, resource, and effort into actually saving your marriage. Because trying to save something that is falling apart, and just to like on the surface level without doing the deep inner work, you're just like kicking the buck. That's the truth. You're just kicking the buck, and you're gonna find yourself here in 2 years, 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years. And again, believe me, because I've been there. So if you want to save this marriage, the question is not, should I save this marriage? Should I try to save this marriage? I hate that. I try to save this marriage. There's no trying. This marriage can only be saved if you're standing in your truth. Not this emotional back and forth knee-jerk reaction. If you're standing in your truth. That is the only way this marriage can be saved. But you won't know that until you'll be able to truly stand in your truth. And from there, either the marriage gets saved, or you said, you know what? It was a good run. We did the best we could. We grew apart. And or maybe I've tolerated too much disrespect over the years, or if I put up with too much, or whatever it is. And it's just time to go our separate ways. But you're doing it from a place of love, which is so important, especially if you have children, instead of doing it from a place of bitterness, resentment, and hate, which your children are going to feel. So, all right, guys, that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, take care now. Bye-bye then. And remember who you are.